Everybody has trauma. Everybody has Tourette's in some ways. How can you laugh at us? We are just like you. What you can do, we can do. What you can achieve, we can achieve. Even we do better. My name is Jiang. I'm a videographer and a cinematographer here in Shanghai. I've been living in Shanghai for 10 years. But beside my job, I got a lifetime companion. It's called Tourette syndrome. Last year, I spent a year filming, editing my very first documentary series. It's called The Happiness of Tourette Syndrome. Tourette syndrome, I'm not a doctor, but basically, based on my understanding, it's a neurological problem that causes people to do involuntary movements, which they call tics. The tics include there's two types of tics. It's a motor tic and a phonic tic, or which is basically called a vocal tic. It sometimes bothers people because we do it involuntarily, where it's uncontrollable. We can control in a certain amount of time, but after this control, and we'll get them released. So when we do the tic, actually there's some part of our muscle or whatever, it feels sore or a little bit uncomfortable. That's why we use tic to release this uncomfortableness. So that's why we do the tic all the time. Yeah, I mean every day. I mean my Tourette syndrome is not that severe, and but as far as I know, sometimes every month I saw people with Tourette syndrome, and also I face, which maybe is called a social stigmatization, and people have a misunderstanding about it because people are ignorant of Tourette syndrome. If you ask hundreds of Chinese people, youngsters, educated, whatever, they know nothing, but they know ADHD, they know OCD, but they don't know Tourette's. So that's a problem. For me, the most insulting behavior, the word is that they mimic me, and they copy me. I mean, they do and they want. And someone asked me, "Did you hear like a frog quack or something?" But yeah, I mean, there were two reasons. Maybe it's my tic sounds really like a frog, so they think, "Wow, well, there's a frog in here," or maybe they know it's my tic, but they don't know what's going on. They just do fun. So I basically. This is something, but I know this case can be worse. Like even people, they think you bother them, and they ask no reason. They think you're a weirdo. We are very sensitive about how people look at me sometimes. I mean, I don't think it's good because if you get oversensitive, and you will mess up all this friendly behavior. Sometimes you just look at you with care. And if you're too sensitive, you think, what the heck you look at me? So this is something that I told my friends with Tourette syndrome, don't go extreme. Yeah, because again, in Confucius said, these ignorant people should be forgiven. They're ignorant. Why don't you just be tolerant? They know nothing. Just don't fight with them. Yeah. Even if your kids have Tourette syndrome, it's okay for them to be phenomenal. Even our kids have Tourette syndrome. If we have good education, if we know the Tourette's knowledge properly, the tics can be healed before or after adolescence. That means there is some cure. Why don't you still tangle with this? Because they don't want to spend time to study the hardcore, the essence of Tourette syndrome. They still think it's the AIDS. This is something really awful. So that's the thing I feel sad about it. That's the thing I want to change. Even I'm a little individual. My documentary is not eye blaster. It's not like a week, billions of hits. No. It needs time to empower, to let people, to ignite people, to ignite people's heart. It's a film that you should watch with your friends, with your relative. So I'm not so hustled to wait for the outcome, because I'm sure, although it's not perfect, but I think it's possibly the best one-man crew documentary I saw in China. I mean, I'm confident about that. A lot of people say, don't do it alone. I say, okay, I only have 60,000. How can I hire a crew? And if I bring a crew, these heroes, they don't feel comfortable. Like the girl and mother would never quarrel in front of me. So they have to be one-man crew. They have to. But again, walls have two sides. Coins have two sides. One-man crew has its own disadvantage, but also it gives you the advantage. It's that you are so close to them. I used to be a cartoonist and an illustrator, and also the strobist. I mean, taking photos with strobes. And finally, I found myself. I still love something with motions. Then that's why I became a videographer. And I learned from the tutorials. Thanks for my knowledge about English, because these tutorials, there's no Chinese subtitle. But I used to force myself to use English software, Photoshop, Premiere, Adobe, whatever, because you learn the lingos and jargons with the software. You don't have to learn. You don't have to go to freaking English first to study about it. This software gives you all the professional terms, and also. And I think this my lighting skills with taking photos with strobes helps me with. I think this strobe lighting skills or the techniques is very similar to the lighting skills in the film. It's just two different lights. And my camera was simple. I only have two cameras. One camera is Canon Cinema 100. It's a professional camera, but it doesn't have slow motion function. So sad. But it's a professional camera, and it's so light, portable. And because I'm a one-man crew, so I can't take huge camera. And also the price for that camera is affordable. And also a second camera is called backup camera. It's a Canon 60D. It's just like the SDLR camera. I use it for time lapse or some other angle when do the interview or whatever. So and a tripod, a monopod, and also a slider. That's why I say I travel through these cities. Film this here with 3 packages. This is not. I think it's almost nearly 20 kilos.
Okay.
20 kilograms or something. It's so heavy, but again, the power is. Sometimes I did. In the middle way, I want to quit. I'm not a hero. I'm an ordinary people. Sometimes why do I do this? Nobody pay me. I think it's out of the love and the care of the Tourette's people. If everybody knows Tourette's like what American people did, or what in Canada did, there's no need for me to make this documentary. So every time I think about these sad stories that our companions are facing, think about the ignorant people. I mean, they need to be educated. And I don't think in my film it will change every Chinese people to think about, and also now there are still some people insulting my film. They think it's a tragedy for Tourette's kids. I don't care about it. So sometimes you have to be stubborn in a good way. I think everybody has a small universe inside your heart, and this stubborn idea or the stubbornness will trigger out this small universe, and you will make you to do some behavior. Then this behavior will influence people, will ignite the society, and maybe it will even change the world. You can't say I'm a small person, I'm just an individual, I can't do nothing. Yeah, I mean, I choose the heroes because I said there was about 50 or 60 people, like candidates. I found that some of the candidates, their story is really sad. So again, I say what kind of tune, what kind of color that I want to give my film is kind of warm. It's not like kind of dark and black, because I found even most of the Tourette's people in mainland China are facing problems. But I don't want my film to show they're really kind of desperate kind of people. And though I choose this person, these 4 heroes, they have trauma, but they overcame the trauma, or they can work with the trauma pretty well. Pretty well. So, like the first episode is a guy from Taiwan. He's a 37-year-old flower arrangement artist, called a florist, and his syndrome is the worst one. It's the most severe one. He was crazy. He was yelling all the time, and but he was the first Asian florist who win the #1 French like a flower arrangement competition. The hardcore message from him is: be yourself. Do not let other people's opinion to judge you. Everybody is different individual. Even though you have Tourette syndrome, just let it go. He never covered the syndrome. Like sometimes I covered it, sometimes in inappropriate location, whatever. But you see in my film when he was doing flower things, when he's teaching students, he releasing this all the time. But this thing can be an advantage, because I interviewed some of his students. He said, well, I like the tick of my teacher, because most of the flower teachers are really boring and monotonous. When he's doing ooh, ooh, and it's like, it's funny because sometimes we feel tired and the tick makes us wake up. So he didn't notice, but his student found, well, this is the characteristic of my teacher. So although some people say, well, maybe he say, well, the God or whatever, it seems like a challenge for him or unfair treatment, but it's good because he never take himself as a patient, because in the story we have specific term for the actors, heroes. So, and also there is a British woman, I think her name is Jessica something. Her name is Jessica, and she have a website. It's called TouretteHero.com. So I think this person who dare to stand out and behave, relieve their tick in front of my camera continuously for a month is really an encourageous act. You know, I don't think every single Tourette sufferers or Tourette friend they have this guts to do so. For me, they are my hero. They are the true hero, because people tend to cover their trauma. They don't want to relieve their trauma. To let billions of Chinese people know I have Tourette syndrome. I mean, in America, maybe in England, this situation get better, but here in China, mainland China, this is really courageous. There are 2 hopes for Tourette sufferers here in China. I hope that this film is upbeat, to give them strength and power to face the situation, even it's unhearable. There's no hero for that. Doesn't mean you are sentenced to death. You are not into a life sentence. So every coin has 2 sides. Tourette's has this awful side of it. Everybody knows, but it also has its beauty. But you have to find out the beauty through whatever you can do, and don't get beaten by us, because if you get beaten by us, the true ego will be killed. So just be yourself. Tell the world, I'm Tourette. I have Tourette syndrome. Sooner or later, people will type Tourette syndrome on Youku or whatever. Actually, what they want to see is not see how sorrow we are. It's the real situation. And just like me years ago, I clicked Tourette syndrome on YouTube. I don't want to see how American Tourette people feels like. I want to see, can I get some strength? Is there a cure? We are looking for a cure, not a medical cure, but a spiritual cure. If I show these sad photos in there, it will quench their fire. They have a little fire inside. They have a little universe inside there. These negative images will destroy them. So I don't want to give them this kind of impression. So that's why I even used the poster. I found a good illustrator. So she made a painting of this 4 heroes, and just tell them this is I'll give them hope. like the last episode, that hero was the only hero that doesn't have Tourette syndrome, didn't he? Her kids have Tourette syndrome. So this 33-year-old woman, she healed her kids not through medicine, through love, through behavioral training, and also this mental training. So this Tourette syndrome is gone. And then people say, well, she can stop because you try a lot of effort and your son is covered. You just go, do whatever you want. But she kept writing blog. She writes 8 years handwrite diary for record every second, every minute his son's like, she's most like a doctor, but she doesn't have any medical background. And then she become professional blogger, writing a blog with almost 900 articles to write about Tourette syndrome. Not only diagnosis of the Tourette's kids, but also for every aspect, the care, the maternal relationship, everything. And this year, she's going to release her book. So she's a blogger. So in this episode, I give the people the answer. But how Tourette syndrome is formed, how you should face Tourette syndrome, and how a woman changed her life and career out of the love of her Tourette's kids. In the end, she said, someone asked her, why don't you stop? No one pay you. She said, I feel I have a kind of like a agreement, or with these little Tourette's angels, and my mission is tell the parents of these little angels that your job is to take care of this special angel. Do not blame them. It's not their fault, it's your fault. So the key to help your children with Tourette syndrome is you. It's not a medicine. For the masses, the majority of ordinary people in China, it's like, I want to trigger out the empathy, not sympathy. Because Tourette is not handicapped. We are just like colorblind. It's like a body defection. Everybody has trauma. Everybody has Tourette's in some ways. How can you laugh at us? We are just like you. What you can do, we can do. What you can achieve, we can achieve. Even we do better. We know Mozart he has Tourette syndrome. There are some American athletes, they are Tourette's sufferers. And you know, there was a movie called Front of the Class, and Brad Cohen was the writer, also the hero in that film. He was a teacher. He was the best teacher in that state. We have Tourette's heroes all around the world. So we just like everybody. So just, and also for the ordinary people, again, for this film, Tourette's is just a clothes, it's just a dress. Inside the bone is how people dealing with the trauma, how you deal with the problem. Everybody has a problem. So that's why some people after the premiere, after they see my video launched online, this ordinary friend, they told me, hey, I saw myself in some of the episode. I said, right, you have problem. You don't have Tourette's. That's why you give me the feedback. And that's the thing. Although my documentary is there are still some problem there. I'm not happy with. This is not a perfect one, but I think it meets what documentary spirit needs to make people think, to make people reflect, even to make people change. Yeah.